and welcome back to another episode of Psychic Evolution. I'm Jamie Clark.
And I'm Maggie Clark. This is the podcast where you discover your psychic potential within to empower yourself and manifest your psychic and mediumship gifts. Today we are going into a listener's questions around spirit teams, waking up to spirit, and figuring out that you've probably been talking to spirit your whole life. And many of us have. And many of us have maybe shut down some of those gifts or fell asleep through part of that process. And some of us have been doing it very openly and consciously and connected. You know, Jamie, you, of course, at the age of 5, you got activated. You were very aware that you were working with the Christ consciousness energy. Obviously, Jesus floating above your kitchen table. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. So recently, one of our listeners, her name is Jose, and she's from Canada. So thank you for the shout out for our Canadian listeners. We really appreciate you. She has this question. She's had a life full of insane experiences, and she never really questioned them because she was asleep, like so deeply. And her question is, why do you think this is? Her gut and her spirit say it was meant to be this way, but she can't help feeling that she wasted so much time when she could have been helping others. So this is the first question we want to address. Why are we asleep for part of the time when we are so talented? We're so connected to our psychic senses. We're so connected to our spirit teams. Why do we have to spend part of our life asleep?
Because in the human experience, we need to know what it's like to be human, because otherwise people will see, a lot of times, spirituality and the physicality in completely different ways. And doing the best we can to not beat ourselves up, to go, yeah, in this case, Jose, I feel like it was in a cosmic way. You needed to be left alone to find yourself. I always say, isn't it interesting that the universe is that will make you do nothing and allow you to do everything? Because notice that she was sharing so effectively throughout her life. She's had some amazing experiences. She didn't question it. She just accepted it, which is huge, because now she sees that these abilities are so natural, they're supernatural. And in her life experience, maybe she needed to connect a little bit more to this life experience as we perceive it, so that when she's in the other dimensions, other channels, she's not losing herself or distancing. She stays connected and finds even more information within life, within searching our own oneness.
And I think that's so true, Jamie. We really do need to find an essence of who we are. We need to experience the life, because we came here for certain experiences, and it can be at times to help others. But there's also experiences that we have solely for our own soul growth that we choose, that we want to have while we're here. So as we are growing, as we are evolving, even in just this singular lifetime, we aren't really wasting time. We're getting to know who we are. The soul's job is to really find out who you are and then learn how to be who you are. So part of this asleep energy is so that we find pieces in ourselves that we really connect with. And these can be parts of our soul, parts of our spirit team, parts of other soul family and tribes that we connect with. We have a multitude of ways while we're on this planet to connect to ourselves. And everything outside of us is a reflection to help integrate and to help remind us as who we are. And that is very simple, but sometimes we need to go through the human experiences so that we understand what it's like to be here on this planet. We didn't choose to come here as an ascended master. Well, maybe we did. We didn't choose to come here as like, well, I know everything, so I'm just here to help other people, and that's all I'm going to do. And sometimes we do have that mission, and that is primary. Other times we're here, I want to learn how to navigate the human consciousness as it is, so that when I do share my teachings, my information, I could say, but I'm human too. I've been there. I've done that. Because it's so much more valuable if you've gone through a life experience and you could say, I experienced that, instead of saying, oh yeah, like 2,500 years ago, I had a past life where that happened. Yeah, that doesn't help this consciousness now, because it's not the consciousness of 2,500 years ago. It's the consciousness of 2025, right? We have to go through some of these experiences so that we can be relatable to others. So if we are healing, if we are teaching, if we are sharing and supporting and helping others on the journey, we can be, well, I've been through that too. We can be more humanly connected. We can be more experientially connected and consciously in this time frame connected.
And I think it's the gift of the universe is to allow you to connect, in this case, in human form. That way, just like Mag was saying, is when you're sharing, they realize, okay, you're in the same boat as I am. I'm like, frickin' A, right. Sometimes they just need to go, okay, so no, you're a human in this way, but you're using that intuitive, those spiritual psychic gift things. I'm like, yeah, whatever you want to call it, just a label. But it's also being able to fit it into our life experience, because a lot of people want to see how's that spiritual stuff fitting into your life. Because if not, and you can't hold it, you start feeling like a nut job. And then we're like, whoa. And so the good thing is always be practical, just be open for the growth and abilities to use. Because as Jose was sharing, she had a lot of experiences throughout her life. She didn't question it, she just went with it. She was in the form, but not necessarily of it. And being able to have her own experiences and to read energy or trust what she gets, that was training. And what if she was actually training herself in this way? Giving circumstances. And if you can, Jose, just lighten up to go, well, maybe, yeah, you did have to have that experience as a human here so that you're more locked in and connected, and that other people get you, that they're more willing to listen to you. If we went to other places and weren't able to change, it wouldn't always be easy to fit in. It becomes whoever's living in that capacity, which is us at the moment, that, okay, so if you can fit this in, let me share a little bit more information or a little bit more insight. And that way it can funnel through you and not block you up, but let it flow. And when you have enough guts to realize that this gift, the psychic abilities, are what everyone has. Everyone can do it. It's do they choose to and what level do they want to take it to. But it also becomes that natural aspect to go, this is life experience in her own way that she firsthand, because who better to talk about something than someone who's been through it. And so she's now realizing that the universe allowed her to be asleep as we perceive it and didn't make her have to wake up. She more than likely clicked into that to go, maybe I'm doing something that I hear a lot of other people doing. I just didn't know what it was. I just kind of accepted exactly. When we can just accept that ability that's within all of us, it allows us to live life, not so much survive it.
And there's also something about communication. We don't always have a way of understanding and communicating and really putting all the pieces together when we're young and having all these experiences. They're so normal to us. It's like riding a bike or throwing a football or walking down the street. Like talking to your spirit team is just a normal occurrence for so many people. But we don't talk about it. We don't have a language for it, or it's not in our family or in our relatable fields of interest. So we don't know that this is an everyday occurrence. So we just treat it as normal. And it's not until we learn a language of, oh, this is a spirit guide. Oh, okay, cool. Or, oh, that's a past life. Or, oh, that's a loved one crossed over. Or, oh, that's a ghost. Or, oh, and then we start putting language and labels on things so that we can communicate what it is that we are experiencing and feeling. Really now, I love the children growing up now with parents that are really open-minded, have a great base of spiritual energy. They're really guiding them through the process of navigating all the different types of spirits that are out there and connections that can be made. I think this next generation coming up is just going to soar into their psychic abilities like no other. Similar to you, Jamie, where you grew up, you had a language, you had an understanding, you had a teacher, you had someone to talk to. So this was a normal thing. But when we don't have that, it can be really daunting. It's not normal. And then we go to sleep sometimes, or we don't cater to those open sensitivities. And really, we're super open at a very young age. for the most part. Very few people stay as open as they are when they first come in because of the conditioning of the family, the culture, the isms and institutions that we grow up around and within, and the life experiences and how we are received and the reactions and responses to what happens if you throw a fit or if you hit someone. Things can shut us down in different ways energetically. We don't even realize we're shutting down. It's part of growing up. It's part of becoming awake and conscious so that we can explore those deep places and we can go back into the early conditioning if we choose to and unravel it and deconstruct it and reconstruct it as much as we want within our psyche and within our subconscious and unconscious as well. As we go through, we can do that, but we can also reconnect with a more of a clarity and understanding and an okay, embracing, receptive vibe to our teams. Now, some of us lose that connection going through and regain it later or work to improve the connection. Some of us keep it, like you, Jose, Jamie. Some people can keep that, and it's just this little secret part of you. And then until you have the language, then you feel awake. But you've never really been asleep if you're always having those experiences. So remember that. You're not asleep if you're experiencing and connecting with spirit on a multitude of levels.
And then giving you the opportunity to go multidimensional. Not only are you in the physical form, but within your form, the essence of your soul, are you able to use your abilities. People need to have a way to express, to share, to be effective with their abilities, because it's not always easy to, just be happy, because it can sometimes be very lonely going, man, I don't have a lot of people I can share things with, so I don't. For me, it's if they're not open, why would I even push that? I won't. But it's in that connection that for Jose, look at what happened. She's naturally been using her abilities that it was just part of who she is. She just kind of has that all the time and didn't necessarily understand it, but used it, experienced it. And that's when it gets real. What if it's first the experience and then whatever value point we place upon that experience, dynamic ability? And in this case, we start to realize we are priceless. And the ability to open up to our gifts that are all within allows us to enjoy our life as we're on this planet and many other worlds and dimensions.
And there's no such thing as wasted time because time is an illusion. So that's another thing we have to remember. We aren't wasting time when we're here. We're doing exactly what we're doing. We're having a human life experience on planet Earth in this beautiful school, right? We come down here and we show up, right? We show up and we experience life. And it's not the easiest vibration to live in on Earth, but it is the vibration that we choose when we choose an incarnation. This is not a waste of time. This might be exactly what your soul wants, exactly what your soul needs, or exactly what your soul needs to fulfill why it came here to begin with, which might be revealed to you at a young age. But what I've found is that a lot of times that revealing of how you're going to be who you are takes some time. And then it's also a lot of choice. I can express myself in one way or another way. I can have this job or that job. I have lots of choices in life to see where I feel I can fit in and contribute and express the purest essence of myself. That's not always dictated energetically by my ego choosing, by my spirit choosing. They're helping to navigate and they're guiding it to a certain essence. But here we are playing in this big bowl of soup together. And if I get stuck in the bottom and I burn a little bit, then I got some time to heal before I'm going to mix well with the rest of the flavors of the soup. There might be healing processes that we have to go through, experiences that shape and mold us. But what I will say is there's usually a general theme that when you look back in your life, you will see that a theme of who you are has always been there. And that's the part of you that never changes. It's the eternal part of yourself. It's the eternal part of your soul that permeates through every expression, every haircut, every wardrobe, every experience, every event. There is some piece that is consistent, that is eternal. That is who you are as a soul. That is the part that says, this isn't a waste of time. This is fun. What are we doing today? We're eating peanut butter cookies. Great. Let's eat cookies. What are we doing today? We're going to go to a movie and have this experience. Okay, that's what we're doing. It doesn't mean we have to be in this high intensity spiritual vibe all the time to be spiritual. Everything's spiritual, right, Jamie? That's what you always say.
Yep, you got it.
Yep.
And the ability for us to place value on what it is that we're experiencing. And sometimes we'll need to experience life as a human, in this case, a little bit longer than the average aspect. So that way, when you open up, you don't feel like you're trading off, you're integrating, realizing that all of these abilities are within. And it's in that for lifetime after lifetime, the reincarnation, right? That soul print in a whole new body. And as I share, I'm not a doctor or scientist, but I believe that they found that basically every 7 years, you have a whole new body of almost 50 trillion cells. If you have a whole new body every 7 years, who's the constant thinker, the constant you within all of those new bodies? Yeah, your soul print. Question everything. Be practical about this stuff. That way you'll know what works for you, what feels right, and what may not. Just could be information from another perspective. Doesn't always mean it's the only way. It's just one way of sharing. And for myself, being able to grow up in a home where everyone, they used their abilities. They were allowed to be intuitive. It was just part of it. And then getting to study with my mom for 20 years was amazing. Because like I shared, there were times where she would say something and 2 hours later, that particular circumstance was happening. I'm like, are you making that happen? She's like, no, here's what So when she could share with me the practicality of spirituality and how you don't have to go into a trance and other things to receive the information, just do you, and you'll be able to go multidimensional and one.
So in this process of responding to Josie through an email, we received another question from her that we just really wanted to tackle into and dive into a little bit. And this question is, do spirit teams have hierarchies? And Josie's heard conflicting opinions on this. She thinks her spirit guide always wins clearly over anyone else, which is fantastic. That should be the truth. We should always...
Who's that spirit guide connected to? You.
Exactly. That higher self energy should always permeate and win. However, my experience with spirit guides is when there are major life decisions or transitional phases or something new, or how are we going to make this work, or where's Maggie going right now, I usually have a conference with parts of my team. There are some people that I pull really close in to that field and sit with them in almost like a roundabout, call it the Knights of the Round Table, whatever. You can call it whatever you want, but we have this little round table. This is done consciously at times. I've also have memories of this being done on the astral plane and coming back from that trip on the astral plane with an awareness that I was in a council or I was in a meeting. And I feel like our spirit teams are weighing out options. They're weighing out most likely choices that people might make and other people might make that are connected to us that could influence the trajectory of our life. There is a bigger plan that's happening that we can't see. Our spirit guides are responsible for seeing a bigger plan and then helping us to navigate to get to the biggest end result that can be for our highest good. So there are times where they have these little powwows. They come together, they connect, we discuss, we talk, and sometimes it's with clear conscious awareness and you're speaking with your team. Other times it might be on the astral plane. This happens a lot in the dream state where they can connect with you effortlessly and you can receive information through your unconscious and subconscious and bring it back. Some of that becomes conscious, some of it doesn't. Some of the times where I'm in these meetings, I am fully aware of everything that's being said, but sometimes I'm energetically aware and I don't see the big picture because it's not yet for me to see, because I could influence it the wrong way or steer it in a direction that is not necessarily for my highest good, but I think it would be because my thinking brain, my Maggie little monster comes into play and says, well, that looks like it's attractive. Let's go there. And whoa, not yet, not yet. So there are times that there's a clear visual or a clear understanding. And other times some things are left vague. We'll get to that when we get to it. We don't need to address that now.
And not only that, notice that your guides are doing the best they can to work with you. To my awareness, I have many guides because I need all the help I can get. But in addition, I've also found that each guide of their own abilities can produce and offer that ability. Because if I have a pool problem, I'm not going to call a person who works on air conditioners. I'll call in a person who knows what they're doing, in this case with the pool. And in that, your guides know their talents, their abilities. And just to me, there is no hierarchy. It's just an expanded awareness. It's one. And so each of us get to play our part. What if in some ways our guides who help us are actually helping themselves too? Because it's all about love, teamwork, oneness, and empowerment. That's why, again, more people are starting to wake up to go, well, I've always had a gut feeling it seems to happen. It's like, isn't that psychic? Right. It becomes what way works for you uniquely, whatever it is, go with it.
And I have seen gatekeepers stop channeling from happening if the physical vehicle, the person in the body, needs to come back into the body, or if the energy is not going to be conducive to the person that's channeling. I have seen gatekeepers basically interfere with a spirit that was channeling.
And what's a gatekeeper?
A gatekeeper is someone that literally will open the revolving door so that you can channel different spirit. Or different energies of spirit or entities. So a gatekeeper is someone that actually either allows that spirit in or not. And it's not like it's a confliction of hierarchy. It's just the gatekeeper is the one that knows this physical person in a human form as well. They're very much in relationship, so they know how much the body can handle or not handle. So there's times that I've seen that happen because that's their job. That's their awareness. That's why they're part of the team, right? But remember, we call it a team because there doesn't have to be hierarchy. Just like in this world, we don't need hierarchy. We're all equal. We're all one. There is no hierarchy. But you're right, Jamie. A gatekeeper would be the same thing of like the pool guide fixing a pool. You know, the gatekeeper is like, hey, this is my job for channeling. This is what I do. So I'm going to trump you because I have more experience with this than the spirit that wants to channel through, right? They don't take it as a hierarchy. They don't take it as someone being better or knowing more, but they are aware that every expression of consciousness has its strengths, and you always play to the strengths, and you always make sure everything's in the highest vibration as possible. But I do feel the higher self energy, which is most people's most intimate spirit guides, I think is the higher self. Doesn't have to be, but I feel like the higher self energy is the one that feels like it always gets its way because it knows you the best. It's part of you. It's a part of you. It's a part of your eternal soul. So I do agree that if your spirit guide is your higher self, yeah, you clearly are going to win every time. But there are times that there are other spirits, there are angels, there's other ascended masters that have different conscious expressions, that have different information and different ways to get to places, and they can be brought in, and it's not a hierarchy. It's neither my spirit guide knows better or not. It's just this energy is going to be the best for this person right now.
And teamwork makes the dream work. And when we're able to become more comfortable to realize everyone has guides, we're always being gifted sometimes a way that maybe in us humans we're not seeing it a certain way and things are going askew in some way, but through our guides they might have the overall picture of attainment and go, well, in this particular circumstance you might want to go around it. You don't always have to go through it, kind of thing. And so learning from our guides, because I always say for me, I wouldn't be listening to them if they were inaccurate. Be like, yeah, okay, right, whatever. But for me, I've had them working with me for pretty much my whole life, and conscious, subconscious awareness of the connection. Not only that, some guides will at least offer to be on your team, so to speak. And I'm very thankful I had that happen recently. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so this person has joined my team, my guides, and in a way that it's empowerment, not enablement, meaning this guide has a lot of spiritual awareness, a lot of information that they're able to share. Because for myself, I'm into that Dr. Masaru Emoto in Thoughts Affect the Molecular Structure of Water. Well, if it's your guides or you're doing psychic or mediumship, you are picking up on thought patterns of creation. It will literally get into your soul essence.
So when we throw away time, it's never wasted. When we throw away hierarchy, We're all equal. Remember, it doesn't matter if you're awake, if you're asleep, if you're conscious, if you're working with your team or you're not working with your team. We are all psychic. We all have spirit teams that we can and will work with at some point or another, consciously or unconsciously. That's really the question at hand. Do you want to continue life with a consciousness around who and what you're connecting with? Because it's there for you if you choose it. And if you want to remain unconscious, that's also a choice. And we can exercise this at different times. But for those that have felt asleep and then you wake up, there is never a waste. There's an opportunity to be human, to be a part of the collective, to be a part of what's happening. And then everything you learn after that, you also offer back into that collective. Truly, we are so interconnected. And all you need to do is be who you are. We all use these gifts in ways that are remarkable. Look inside and see how remarkable you are, how powerful you are, how magnificent you are. And remember, when you do that, you've never wasted a moment of your life, because there's never judgment through anything you've ever felt, anything you've ever thought, anything you've ever experienced. Have fun with your psychic evolution. Have fun with your spirit guides. And if they feel like they push each other around, they're just sorting it all out within themselves. It's a big old peanut bus.
Like family.
It's like family, exactly. They're having fun up there.
And when you get connected to some of your family, you realize you've never been alone. It's that connection of finding the life within you and bringing it to the surface of consciousness and begin to live more than just exist or survive life. And what if our guides know the overall aspect of living so that at least from their perspective, they can give us different facets of information? Maybe they understand us more effectively than we realize, and that's why anyone can talk who can communicate. They know kind of how we receive information and maybe what are some of the tools and techniques so that they, oh, this is how you do it? Great. We'll show you pictures or we'll make you feel things or see or whatever the case is. It's that kind of connection that each of our guides has their own talents, their own abilities, and they're just being them. That's the point. What if the evolution of the soul is an experience? In this case, at the moment, the eternal now, because I'm right there with Mag, is there is no linear time. That's just a human concept. But being able to experience, being able to be our own selves, spiritual experiences, one, it's that kind of connection to realize you and your guides are working as one team. Truly, it's all about the love.
So have fun with your psychic evolution, and we look forward to connecting with you again. If you have questions about your spirit guides, your spirit team, and you want to connect with Jamie, Jamie does readings. And you can go to his website, jamieclark.net. Use the coupon code GUIDES to get 10% off your next reading. And until next time, have fun with your psychic evolution.